what the cabinet has given approval today is first a decision to ban e-cigarettes.
On September 18, 2019, the Narendra Modi government banned the use, sale, manufacture, distribution and advertisement of electronic or e-cigarettes used to inhale nicotine in a process called vaping. Announcing the ban, Environment Minister Prakash Javadekar and Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said an alarming rise in vaping, which some people, especially the young, had begun to think of as cool, had persuaded the government to stem the rot. She said more than 400 brands of e-cigarettes with more than 150 flavors were available in India, even though none were manufactured here. The exhaled vapors, she said, contained a high level of nicotine that would adversely impact passive smokers. Environment Minister Prakash Javadekar called the ban a preventive step. Meanwhile, on World No Tobacco Day on May 31, the Indian Council of Medical Research, the government's premier research body, released a white paper recommending a complete prohibition of e-cigarettes in the greater interest of protecting public health. Apart from adversely affecting the cardiovascular system and respiratory immune cell functions, the paper, supervised by experts from the Health Ministry, said the risk of youth addiction for vaping is high, as borne out by international experience and in Indian media reports. And over the weekend, with two PILs challenging the ban in a Kolkata High Court, none other than Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in his monthly Mann Ki Baat address on radio, warned against e-cigarettes being used as a fashion statement, which he said are a new way of getting addicted to nicotine. So what is vaping? The word vaping, a combination of two words, vapors and inhaling, is the act of inhaling nicotine and exhaling aerosols produced by an e-cigarette or a similar device. Instead of tobacco smoke, e-cigarettes produce aerosols that consist of fine particles. The word vaping has come to represent the act of smoking using an electronic or battery-run device, which heats up the nicotine cartridge neatly tucked inside the device to create vapors. The device also heats up cartridges of liquid containing propylene glycol, vegetable glycerine and artificial flavoring such as chocolate and strawberry. In the new vocabulary of our times, the act of inhaling is called vaping. The person undertaking the act is called a vapor, while a single pull of the e-cigarette is called a vape. According to trade data, there are an estimated 2.6 lakh vapors in India, a small percentage of the 12 crore smoking population, which includes both tobacco-based cigarettes and bidis. The vaping market in India is said to be worth rupees 15 crores. And before it was banned, it had spawned as many as 460 brands of e-cigarettes, with over 7,700 vaping flavors. Some of the most popular vaping brands are Juul, Karma X, Smoke Nod and E-Leaf, costing anywhere between rupees 2,000 and rupees 15,000 per device. So how did such a small, unregulated industry become such a big threat to established players in the tobacco industry that they came together to put an end to it? Today, India is the second largest consumer and third largest producer of tobacco in the world. What is interesting is that soon after the ban was announced, the shares of combustible cigarette makers immediately went up. ITC Limited, which owns brands like India Kings, Lucky Strike, Classic, Gold Flake, Navy Cut, among others, rose by 1.8%. VST Industries Limited, which owns brand names like Charms and Charminar, spiked by 1%. Golden Tobacco Limited, which owns brands such as Chancellor and MS Special Filter, increased by 4.5%. And Godrej Phillips India, which owns brands such as Foursquare and Red and White, soared by 7.8%. There is also the matter of a straightforward conflict of interest. The central government and state-owned companies together hold a 28.64% in ITC, the country's largest manufacturer of tobacco and combustible cigarettes. Significantly, the ban on e-cigarettes doesn't mean that cigarettes are banned, or that the government is taking strong action against toxic and addictive forms of chewing tobacco products like gutka, zarda, pan masala, gul and bajjar, all of which were officially banned as long back as 2012. In fact, the Supreme Court, also in 2012, asked states to file compliance reports on the gutka ban. Only in 2018, the Indian Journal of Medical Research confirmed what was well known anecdotally. that 8 out of 10 vendors in Mumbai, for example, believed that the sale of pan masala was legal. That in Indore, all 10 vendors surveyed said the sale of Indori Tambaku, a local gutka variant, was also legal. It has been up to the WHO then to give us some statistics, like the fact that smoking kills over 1 million people in India annually. That it is also the fourth leading cause of non-communicable diseases such as cancer and heart diseases, which account for 53% of all deaths in the country. Public perceptions about smoking too have undergone a sea change. From the time several decades ago when smoking was synonymous with a macho, outdoorsy masculinity, think of the Marlboro ads in America, or the red and white cigarette ads back home in India with the tagline, "Red and white peene walon ki baat hi kuch aur hai." The covers of cigarette boxes have begun to take seriously the slogan that smoking kills and cigarette smoking is injurious to health. In recent years, the covers of cigarette boxes have begun to showcase horrifying images of tumors and cancers in an effort to deglamorize the act of smoking. In the meanwhile, vaping began to get popular, especially with a young and upwardly mobile generation. And doctors began to point out that vaping was as bad as cigarette smoking. In March 2019, 1,000 doctors wrote to Prime Minister Narendra Modi seeking a ban on the manufacture and sale of e-cigarettes, pointing out that the pro-vaping lobby had begun to promote e-cigarettes as a smoking cessation device. In May, over 1,000 students, teachers and public health organizations appealed to the Prime Minister to announce a ban, pointing to the harmful effects of these so-called fun devices. So when it returned with a thumping majority in May, the 100-day agenda of the Modi government included banning of e-cigarettes and alternate smoking devices such as the e-hookah. The September 18 ban is said to be based on a white paper released in 2018 by the country's apex medical research institute, the Indian Council of Medical Research. The use of e-cigarettes, the ICMR said, has documented adverse effects on humans, which include DNA damage, carcinogenic, cellular, molecular, and immunological toxicity, respiratory, cardiovascular, and neurological disorders, and the adverse impact on fetal development and pregnancy. But the ICMR also conceded that its white paper was based on studies conducted by other countries and that it had not conducted its own independent survey. In the US, for example, 21% of high school students and 5% of middle school students had reportedly used e-cigarettes in the last 30 days of 2018. This was said to be a jump of 1.5 million young people from 2017 to 2018. According to a University of Rochester study in New York, smoking vapors inflame mouth cells in ways that could potentially promote gum disease. And the US Center for Disease Control, believing that vaping had become a public health crisis, in mid-September registered the 7th death in California from a vaping-related illness. It is said to have initiated emergency operations to better investigate the outbreak of lung injuries associated with e-cigarettes. In the United Kingdom, though, evidence is contradictory. While the University of Birmingham found that vapors mess with immunity, the UK's National Health Service believes that of the 2.9 million adults in Great Britain who use e-cigarettes, half have completely stopped smoking combustible cigarettes. According to the NHS, there is growing evidence that e-cigarettes can help people stop smoking, and that using an e-cigarette can help you manage your nicotine cravings. In India, several doctors told ThePrint, the easy availability of devices has meant that cases of respiratory illness have doubled in the last year. Pulmonology consultant at Dharamshila Narayana Super Specialty Hospital in Delhi, Dr. Navneet Sood told ThePrint that in 2018 he used to see 2 patients a month with vaping complications, and that the number had doubled this year. But the ban has also come in for its fair share of criticism. Some say it will only drive the nascent vaping industry underground, like the banning of other hard drugs has, and that a better way to improve the health of the nation was to make the sale of e-cigarettes prohibitively expensive. Still, the die has been cast. For better or worse, e-cigarettes are now banned. First-time violators will face a jail term of up to a year and a fine of Rs 1 lakh. For subsequent offences, a jail term of up to 3 years or a fine of Rs 5 lakh, or both, have been prescribed. officially at least, India is now free of vaping.